Hello，大家好，我係阿 Matt。我今日想講點解我會覺得廣東話係一個容易學嘅語言。我由6個原因講俾你哋聽。So today I'm going to be discussing the 6 reasons I've come up with why Cantonese is an easy language to learn. Now, I know when I first started learning Cantonese, the reputation that I heard from everyone is it's a very difficult language. In fact, this is a reputation for Chinese in general. It's considered a difficult language to learn, especially for Westerners or English speakers. So I'm going to be doing this video from the perspective of an English speaker's experience learning Cantonese as a second language. I started learning when I was in my early 20s, so I'm definitely an adult learner of Cantonese. I have a long way to go, but these are some of the aspects of the language that has made it easy to learn compared to some other languages. Now, it does come by that reputation of being difficult for good reason, and in another video, I'll cover the reasons that Cantonese can be a difficult language to learn. In general, though, I hope this video can be an encouragement for people who are perhaps considering learning Cantonese or have just started taking up the study. It's worth noting that many of these reasons that I give will apply to other forms of Chinese, such as Mandarin. So without further ado, here are my 6 reasons that Cantonese is an easy language to learn. Number 1, there is no verb conjugation. What I mean by that is basically verbs are always in the same form. In English or in many other Western languages, you have to conjugate the verb. You have to say, is it I am, or you are, or he is, all forms of the to be verb. In Cantonese, the spoken to be verb is hai. So the I am form would be ngo hai. The you are form would be nei hai. The he is form would be koi hai. And in every case, it's the same pronunciation. So that really simplifies things as you're learning. You learn one verb, you know how to say it in all cases. And compared to many Western languages that you might learn, this is very, very simple. Number 2, tenses are simple and straightforward. In Cantonese, verbs don't really have tenses. You simply add on another word and you can change the tense, or you can use context to denote the time that something's happening. So for example, in English, if you want to say eat, present tense is I eat. Continuous tense, I am eating. Past tense, I ate. If you wanted to do, you could do I have eaten. In Cantonese, the verb for eat, sik, like sik fan, is always going to be the same. You just add on an adverb to change the tense. So, for example, if it's the past tense, you could add on jaw. So, ngo sik jaw fan. That would be like I ate rice. I have eaten rice. Maybe typically people would say that if you are asking, have you eaten yet? Yes, I've eaten. They say 咗飯未? 我食咗啦. 咁樣. So basically, that's really simple. If it's something that you have done before, it might be like 我食過飯. Well, that one's pretty basic because most people will have eaten rice or eaten dinner at some time before. Maybe another case that you might say is, I've been to China. 我去過中國. So you hear that 去過,我去過中國, and then you know that I have been to China before. For the continuous tense, you would just add on 緊, so it would be maybe like 我食緊飯. I am eating. And I like this in particular because, like, compared to Mandarin, the order is very comparable to English. So that makes it, in my mind, a little bit easier than Mandarin. So for Mandarin, you might typically say 我在吃饭. And that's how you would say I am eating rice. And that 在 comes before eat. But in English, you kind of add on that ing after eat. So eating, 食緊, it sort of matches up a little better. For the future tense, you just add on 會. So that's basically like will. 我會食飯. It just means I will eat. and so it's pretty straightforward and it follows the same pattern as English. So basically, as an English speaker learning the language, the more similar it is to English, the easier it is to learn. Number 3, objects don't have gender. I mean, really, as an English speaker, my thought is, why should an object have a gender? Why should a lamp have a gender? Why should a computer have a gender? And apparently, Chinese are on the same page. The objects don't have gender, so you don't have to keep up with, what form of the or a do you use because of the gender it is. That's something that you would come across in a lot of Romance languages, for example. Um, so by not having a gender, that makes it simplified. Also, articles like the and a, they aren't really used in Chinese. You don't have the this or a that. If you want to denote a number, you just say how many of that thing there are. Additionally, as in Mandarin, he, she, and it are spoken in the same way, so you don't have to remember, okay, which one am I using where. Really, this is pretty easy for an English speaker. Going the opposite direction can be a little bit confusing. I think that's why it's not uncommon for Chinese speakers of English as a second language sometimes mix up he and she when they're speaking quickly. So basically, let's say I want to say he is speaking, it would be 佢講緊嘢. She is speaking, 佢講緊嘢. It is speaking, maybe that doesn't make sense, but it would be the same thing. So this, anytime that you're getting simpler grammatically, I think it makes it easy to learn something. All right, for my 4th reason, vocabulary is simple, logical, and generally easy to remember. And what I mean by this is you can build a lot of words if you kind of build some basic vocabulary. So, for example, you have the word for clothes, 衣服, and then you have the word for cabinet, 柜桶, and you put 衣服 and 柜桶 together and you get 衣柜, which is a closet. So it makes a lot of sense. It's basically a clothes cabinet is 衣柜, a closet. Another example would be 生菜. Choi is the word for vegetable. Sang can mean raw. So what vegetable do we eat raw? Lettuce. So you have sang choi, lettuce, raw vegetable. It makes sense. These sort of patterns make it kind of easy for a learner of the language to sort of remember, hey, I know what that word is. I know what that other one is. You put them together, you're learning new vocabulary without having to remember a lot of complicated sounds. We contrast that with English. I mean, I take English for granted, but we have so many different root languages. It's Germanic language with a ton of Latin roots, also a lot of Greek. So it's sort of hard to remember, okay, why is a different words? Why is it called lettuce? Why is it called a closet? What's the root of that? It's sort of hard to know how they are put together. But by contrast, Chinese's and Cantonese included is fairly easy to learn for this reason. You know the word for fly is fei. You know machine is gay. So you put them together, fei gay. That's an airplane. It's a flying machine. It makes a lot of sense. I could go on with lots of examples, but definitely that's an aspect of the language that makes it pretty easy to learn. All right, for my 5th part is because the order is very similar to English. Basically, Cantonese is a subject-verb-object type language. And this doesn't really inherently make it easier or harder to learn. Every language has its own different order. But for an English speaker, that similarity in the way the sentences are structured makes it fairly easy to learn. You're not having to think about putting things in a way different order. Now, there's certainly plenty of cases where the order of how things are spoken is a bit different than English, but in general, it sort of follows that same pattern. And if you're just starting out, you can pretty well get by just using like a very basic pattern similar to what you would use in English, and you'll get by. Maybe as you learn more, you can learn, okay, how do you mix things up some to sort of convey what you want to say a little better. All right, the 6th reason that Cantonese is easy to learn, and I would argue is the most important reason is it is a very expressive and enjoyable language to learn. It is a ton of fun learning Cantonese. There's sort of a steep learning curve. I know when I first started learning, it took me several months to sort of start becoming comfortable with it. But once you kind of get your groove and start really learning quickly, um, it's just such a neat language. I've long very much enjoyed learning Cantonese. It's a lot of fun to learn, and that's really what it comes down to. Any language, if you want to learn it and learn it well, you have to enjoy it. That's going to make it way easier for you. There's a lot to like about Cantonese, whether it's enjoying all the great Cantopop songs that are out there, watching old kung fu movies if that's your thing, or watching the newer modern times movies or the period pieces. There's a lot of great cinema, a lot of great TV that comes out of Hong Kong and South China. Um, and a lot of very colorful slang. Just it's a fun language to learn, and at the end of the day, that's going to be the most important part, because if you're not having fun learning the language, it's going to be difficult to learn. But if you enjoy learning it, no matter what the obstacles are, you can kind of overcome those, get past them, and learn the language. 好啊，咁啊講完啦。我想同大家講多謝俾我機會講俾你聽點解我會覺得廣東話係容易學。如果你啱啱開始學廣東話，我就想支持你，加油！